Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, the editor-in-chief of Total Retail. I am pleased to be joined on today's episode by Drew Peniotu. Drew is the Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer at Keurig Dr. Pepper, and we're going to talk to him about that business, particularly kind of a transformation in its marketing approach across the portfolio of brands under the company. So we're excited to talk to Drew, and thank you for joining us on today's show.
Thanks. Great to be here, Joe.
Obviously, I think everyone in the audience knows Keurig Dr. Pepper, but maybe you can give me an overview of the business, the kind of full portfolio of the business, and tell us a little bit about your history with the organization as well.
Sure. I've been here a little over a year and a half. I've been a CMO before. Started off actually my first job in retail, CMO at Best Buy. So it's great to be back in this industry. I was in it once before with one of our competitors, Coca-Cola. So it's fun to be back. We are a company that has a hot business underneath the iconic brand of Keurig. So we make a lot of appliances that carry a lot of other brands as part of its portfolio. Green Mountain Coffee just launched our first ever Keurig branded coffee called Keurig Coffee Collective. So a lot of different brands run through a Keurig machine, and we have partner brands as well. And then we also have the portfolio that is very well known with some of our iconic beverage brands like Dr. Pepper, Canada Dry, 7-Up, Snapple. We have a full portfolio across, juice brands like Mott's, which are not juices, but pouches and applesauce products. So it's a pretty good broad portfolio across beverage and snacks.
Yeah, I thank you for kind of giving the overview of the business, provide some nice context for our conversation. So I want to talk a little bit about, as CMO, it's kind of been a transformation at Keurig Dr. Pepper in terms of the marketing approach across the business. Tell me a little bit of how you're thinking about rebalancing kind of data, precision marketing, that creativity as you look to kind of drive growth across the portfolio of brands.
Sure. Marketing is, very much or brand building is actually very much the art and science of, connecting our products with consumers. A lot of change has happened on the science side, and particularly because of the expanding amount of data that we now have to build our brands and to grow them. And so I came on board a year and a half ago and started a kind of a transformation initiative called Power Up, and it very much focuses on leveraging and harnessing all the tools available for modern marketing across data, media, content capabilities that allow us to personalize messaging. And so the first year and a half, we've really been focused on building our data foundations so that we can talk to the right people, recruit the right households into our products, and have the right media investments against those households, and then personalize our messaging and make it as relevant as possible. And I would say one of the things that has been really important in that has been the explosion of data from our retail media partners. That is one of the biggest things that's affecting and presenting an opportunity for us in the beverage world and consumer packaged goods. Is now we have the ability to use what I would call deterministic data, right? Knowing that you're a buyer or that you're a category of buyer, that you drink, CSDs or that you drink juices, we now have much greater precision to talk to the people that matter and the people that would be interested in our products. And a big part of that comes from the data that is available through retailers like Walmart and Kroger and Amazon. And I would say one of the biggest things for CMOs is understanding, where the opportunities are and how do you leverage, retail media in your marketing mix. And as you know, it's becoming a big, important part of profitability for retailers. We look at Amazon and how much of their bottom line is driven by, advertising, critically important for Walmart and Kroger. I just had a conversation with someone at Costco as they're kind of investing in their retail media capabilities now for the first time. You're just seeing a wave of new capabilities that will make our marketing fundamentally different.
Can you talk a little bit, Drew, about the sharing of data with retail partners? Because at times that's not always been the smoothest or easiest process. It's now, I think, becoming more mainstream and more, the retail partners are more willing, right, to kind of partake in that sharing of data with partners such as Keurig Dr. Pepper. Tell me a little bit about how you've seen that evolution take place in terms of the kind of the relationship and sharing of data with the retail partner.
Yeah, I think when retail media networks came to be, the biggest complaint or challenge from CMOs and was the fact that they were walled gardens, right? The data, the performance data was limited, right? We have to analyze our campaigns and understand, are we reaching the right people and getting the right buyers? And I think as retail media has evolved, that the retailers now understand that they need to offer the same type of data sharing opportunities that other media platforms have. And I would say that it's gotten a lot better, which means we'll spend more of our advertising dollar with those partners. And I would say the thing that has really emerged the past, year and a half is we're seeing now that the top retailers are connecting their media to other forms of media like Netflix and ESPN, and so we can go full funnel, and get really good understanding of where can we drive performance? How do we bring a consumer into buying our product? And it's not about the last click, as you know, and that's a famous term. Like, overpaying for the last click doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to have an understanding of how each, media channel works holistically to maximize your marketing efficiency. And so having the ability now to get that data, to put it into a clean room, and to be able to kind of combine it with other sets of data so that we know it's driving performance with the right people, and we're getting the productivity of our media dollar is significant.
Yeah, and I guess if it done correctly and done well, there's three parties that really benefit, right? The retailer benefits, your brands such as yours are willing to advertise more, and consumer gets the more personalized, as you talked about, the more personalized offers, the more personalized messaging, those connections. So the retailer, the brand, and the consumer win in the long run if kind of executed effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say this as a consumer, and I'm always looking at things from a consumer lens. The last thing I want is an ad for something I really don't care about, right? If I'm on YouTube and I'm watching a video and, I don't buy oranges, the last thing I want to see is an ad for oranges, right? So I do think it's a win-win in that we just make our time and our messaging more valuable for people.
More targeted and more effective. You've talked as an organization about the importance of kind of creating raving fans, this loyal customers. To you, what does that mean in practice, and how does that kind of mindset change the way you approach brand building for especially an organization such as Keurig Dr. Pepper, where you have legacy brands such as Canada Dry, Dr. Pepper. Tell us a little bit about the thought process there.
Sure. The notion of a raving fan, I think, takes on greater importance today because we have this thing a lot of us love. Sometimes we hate it, and it's called social media, right? It gives your consumers a platform, and that platform is really valuable because as new generations come into to be, there's a lot of value to the authenticity of content and conversation that happens on social. And that's a really important thing, particularly when you're a company like ours, where we compete against the largest, biggest advertisers in the world. And we are a challenger company. And while we have good media dollars, they're not at the same levels. So we have
Yeah.
to be smart about how we build, our growth behind our brands. And a raving fan is a fan that not only buys a lot, but they advocate on your behalf. They post, they talk to their friends, and it is probably the most efficient way to grow a brand is to get, the core of your consumer base, the core of your households and new households to be raving fans. And then it creates this flywheel that works across all forms of media, especially social. And it's something that I actually got greater appreciation to, I would say, in the latter half of my career. I was with Chick-fil-A, and when I was there, I just kind of learned about their raving fan model, which at the end of the day allows them to have an outlet or a store that generates twice the revenue at half the square foot of a McDonald's without ever running a promotion. So just think about that. No promotions, twice the productivity. And when that model, as I learned it and unpacked it, it very much was about raving fans, people that just love the brand and are gonna like be fanatical about it. And when I got to, KDP and I started unpacking, what has made Dr. Pepper incredibly successful, Dr. Pepper has an amazing core of raving fans, and they talk, they post, they engage about the brand. And so we've created a brand with raving fans. And when you do that, you put together a brand that has social at the core. And when a brand has social at the core, then you get a lot of energy, you get a lot of things that work on social. And a great example was what happened with this creator called Romeo, who created a Dr. Pepper jingle. It was called Dr. Pepper, It's Good and Nice. And that creator posted something and it literally broke the internet in January. And we had people reach out to us. We had every morning news show, grandmothers, aunts, uncles reached out to me who saw this thing that was done by Romeo. And we created a moment with that creator. And literally, you can't pay for that kind of advertising. I mean, it literally broke the internet. I think that was an article that showed up in one of the media outlets. Uh, but the conditions for that to happen are because the brand has a social core and a big raving fan set of consumers that enable things like that to happen. And that's where you get a lot of growth, greater leverage from your media, right? And so it's really important. And we want to take that model to other brands because I think that is the model of the future. It's the way media works. It's the way, social keeps growing and getting bigger. And, we didn't have TikTok X number of years ago. Now we have TikTok. We'll continue to have new and emerging social channels that will make that model even more important and powerful.
As you talk about taking that model to other brands within the portfolio, how do you kind of balance the evolution of the brands in the Keurig Dr. Pepper portfolio to be culturally relevant, to be kind of social and expanding that kind of tent of audience without kind of losing the equity that is really these brands have been built on. They've, had that core raving fan that you talk about. So
Yeah,
you want to satisfy both elements, right? Kind of expanding the tent, but also not alienating those core raving fans, right?
100%. And that's actually something I talk a lot about with my marketing team, which is authenticity. You have to pick the right cultural lane for your brand. And the best way I describe that is with each of our brands, we're being really careful about how we connect with culture. And I would say this, we want to fan with our fans and fan with what matters to them, but also what matters to the brand. So every day I get something in my email box to sponsor something, right? Or to have one of our brands sponsor something. And it's not, for us, it's not like, hey, let's go sponsor something and connect with culture blindly. It's looking at what the brand means, what the brand stands for in the world, and then what's important to the brand, and then matching that up with what matters to our audience and our consumers, and putting that together with the right sponsorship, with the right promotions, and then doing it in a way that makes it authentic because it becomes authentic because it's what the brand does. On Dr. Pepper, we talk about one of a kind experiences. Our investment in college football is very much about, you know, showing that we understand college football, better than anyone else. And we're fans of college football, just like our core consumers are fans of college football. It's authentic. It's not manufactured. Uh, we advertise every year, not about talking about us, but talking about the thing that people are watching, which is college football. And we created this platform called Fansville. And I think it's one of the few where, what we're advertising and talking about is about what you're watching, not about what we're trying to sell. And I think that creates authenticity because it's real. It's, hey, we're fans of the sport, you love the sport, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, as a college football fan myself, I can certainly attest to the relevance you have in that sport in terms of how you've positioned the brand, and constantly be seeing the Fansville commercials pop up during the games on Saturday. So kudos to you and your team for that. When I have
Thanks.
marketing leaders such as yourself, Drew, on the podcast, I want to learn. Obviously, there's so much talk and buzz around the impact that AI is having. It's across brand and retail organizations and multiple factors. You as a marketing expert, I'm going to get your kind of perspective from a marketer's lens in terms of how you're thinking about AI as a tool to create these more relevant, personalized shopping experiences. Tell me a little bit about strategy there at Keurig Dr. Pepper.
Sure. AI is going to be the most value with AI is going to be created in sales and marketing. Like McKinsey has said it, many other people have said it. I think it gives us an incredibly powerful way to change the way that we do marketing, how we connect with consumers, but the actual practice of marketing. And so for us, we've been very much building our capabilities. This year alone, we have brand agents for every brand, and they help our marketers make better decisions regarding packaging and advertising. And we kind of joke about it, but we always say in meetings, what did the agent say? Right? What did our Keurig agent say? What did our Dr. Pepper agent say? What did our Canada Dry agent say? And they guide us because their brain is built on the biggest and best data set that we've ever had. And so if you think about it, I can just ask a question and get the best answer. And that allows us to, one, not just make better decisions, but also to understand the potential in places we may not have otherwise gone, right? We think about new products and where innovation will go in the food and beverage industry. There's so many occasions and demand spaces that we haven't tapped into. And part of it is this whole process of how do you think about opportunities and maximizing the success of getting at those opportunities and occasions. AI allows us to do that in ways that we couldn't imagine, right? We can iterate a product concept so fast, so quickly, and then get a read on it through a agent or a synthetic person that allows us to all of a sudden say, okay, we were going here, but now we can go there because we just got a data point that says, they may prefer this type of beverage. That will fundamentally change like the pace of innovation, the quality of innovation, and it matches where the newest generation of consumers want to go. We just did a study. It's called State of the Beverages Industry, and it talks about trends and it talks about Gen Zennials and like the newest generations. And Gen Zennials like to try beverages. I think 65% try a new beverage every month. They like to create, they like new flavors. And so when you have an incoming cohort of people that want to try, experiment, and view beverages as something that represents them and their lifestyle, then just imagine the opportunities that you have in front of you and the pace of change that's in front of you. And AI will allow us to keep up with that pace of change, get after the right opportunities, develop products, that meet those needs better, and create more happy customers.
Yeah, you talked about the identification of new opportunities, but also I think you got to the kind of that pace of change too, the speed at which AI can enable you to operate, right? That's critically important as well.
Yeah, things that we took 4 months to do or 5 months to do, we can literally do in 2 days. I mean, just
Yeah.
think about that. We can uh, develop and test a new package in a week. I mean, it's amazing. And so that allows our marketers to actually think about, how do they service the needs of our, customers better? How do we create raving fans? It actually enables us to, I'd say this, marketers get to practice at the highest level of their license by taking and removing a lot of things that took a long time to do out of the way, right? It allows us to get to a better end state faster. And so it's exciting. I think now it's never been a better time to be a marketer than today.
So as you think about KDP and kind of approaching your marketing from an omni-channel perspective, we've talked about social, we've talked about retail partners, customers coming directly to the brand sites to engage as well. How do you ensure that you're giving that consistent experience across all these multiple touch points so that there's kind of that same level of consistency across wherever they may be touching one of your brands?
Sure. It's a great question. I think that's why the word system matters, right? The marketing systems that we have, which are going to be more and more agentic in the future, they allow us to kind of, you know, put parameters on how messages can be personalized, right? There has to be a set of boundaries that guide us and limit and optimize campaigns a certain way. And so the good thing is we have systems and tools that are getting better that allow us to do that. So for the last Dr. Pepper college football campaign, we generated over 2,500 different versions of ad units, and those ad units were personalized based on where people lived or what flavor of Dr. Pepper they liked or what team that they rooted for. We leveraged data from one of our advertising partners, Disney, ESPN, and put that into our systems. And it allowed us to do really cool and great and fun things for our consumers, but all within boundaries. Because if you don't, you put in ingredients, and those ingredients can be mixed different ways, but it's limited by the ingredients that you put into your content system. So the good thing is there are ways to drive that consistency, and technology is only making it better and better for us to do it in a way that creates great messaging.
Yeah, that integration of data as well, cross systems, right? I imagine
Yeah,
that's critical part of it as well.
yeah, absolutely. It goes back to why connected data
Mhm.
matters. When data is not connected, your campaigns, to your point, kind of feel a little funky, a little odd. It's like, well, I already bought the product, so why are you giving me an ad to buy another,
Mhm.
product? We were just talking about this the other day. We've launched a new flavor of Canada Dry. You should grab it. Canada Dry fruit splash strawberry, and we get a lot of new households from people that try the limited time offering beverage. And our goal is to, like, once you try that beverage and you're new to brand, well, let's follow up with a message around base ginger ale. The last thing you want is another message about Canada Dry strawberry fruit splash. You just bought it. That connected data allows us to kind of talk to you in a way that makes sense and recognizes who you are and makes our messaging, more comprehensible. And one of the roles that I hired when I first got here, I was very intentional about, and I hired an SVP of connected media. And that is exactly why we put connected in his title, because when you connect your pipes and you connect your data systems, then you really can talk to people and have a conversation with your consumers because you're building, intelligence, right, through that connected data. And then you're able to kind of really take marketing from just advertising to a two-way relationship that allows you to build an experience. And then when you can build an experience, that's how you get to raving fans and fandom. So for us, it's a very intentional walk on how you go from, hey, I'm running ads to deploying campaigns to creating raving fans and building relationships. And it's all possible by connected data.
Yeah, and so you've kind of outlined the future path at Keurig Dr. Pepper. I know there are some exciting things still to come. I want to take the opportunity to thank Drew Peniotu, Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer at Keurig Dr. Pepper, for joining us on this episode of Total Retail Talks. I appreciate the time, Drew. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please go to mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, SiriusXM's Pandora, YouTube, and YouTube Music. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.